I'd like to know if there are any, like, small little deeds that you do to, like, try and make the world a better place, you know, little things.
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I feel like
the answer's no.
I do. I feel like I notice a lot of moments where I failed to do, like I could do little things, and I just don't think of them until the moment has passed.
Okay.
I'm very good about letting people go ahead of me. If I'm like in line and I'm like not quite ready to go, then I'll let too many people go ahead of me.
Too many people.
What's a little thing that you do, Kyle?
Well, Emily, I don't know if this is going to be gross or not, but I don't know why. I mean, probably because I'm self-conscious, but I always try to leave toilet seats cleaner than when I found them.
Sure. That's fair.
Know? Sometimes they're a mess and it's like, wow, no one wants to touch that. And I'm like, I'm going to clean this just a little bit. What are people doing in there? Come on, Emily. What the heck?
Hey, it wasn't me.
Emily, come on.
Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. Every week on Butter No Parsnips, your hosts Kyle Imperatore and Emily Moyers take you on an adventure through the weird, wacky, wonderful, and sometimes even wicked world of one wayside word. Strange characters, delightful bits, and general joyousness abound. Join them as they test each other's etymological expertise.
Hey everybody, welcome to Butter No Parsnips. I'm Emily Moyers.
And I'm Kyle Imperatore. How's it hanging, Em?
Let's get down to brass tacks.
Wow, right straight down to them, huh?
Yeah.
Emily, I'm going to toss some brass tacks your way, and I'm going to give you a word today.
All right, I'm going to duck and cover for the brass tacks, but I'll take the word.
Okay, all right. Are you ready for your word today?
I'm so ready, Kyle.
I don't think you are.
Oh, no.
Your word today, Emily, is Eleemosynary. Eleemosynary. Eleemosynary.
E-L-E-E?
Yep.
And it's not Eleemosynary?
Nope. Eleemosynary.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Eleemosynary. I hate
Eleemosynary. I mean, listen. It is what it is, you know? Don't hate it.
No. Seth has made it very clear that we should hate words if we hate them. And
and this is doing nothing for me.
All right. Well, Greek?
Yes.
It looks pretty Greek with that S-Y. Oh, I'm so at a loss. So, I mean, adjective, I gotta figure.
It can be an adjective or a noun. You got it.
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to need a hint, Kyle. I've got no idea.
That's fair, Emily. I would have had no idea either. Your hint today, Emily, is welfare.
Oh, I'm like trying to break down the word, but...
Yeah, you're going to have no luck with that. just throwing it out there, you're going to have absolutely no luck.
So, well, I will say that maybe I'm down a blind alley here, but I feel like the airy ending makes me think it's a place. So I'm going to say this is like a shelter of some kind.
Oh, Emily. Oh, you're so close, and I'm trying to figure if I want to give it to you or not. You're so close, and I'm just trying to figure out if I want to say yes.
Or a soup kitchen?
You're like right there. You're like right there. So that's telling me to keep you hanging. So I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Why don't you focus on the adjective definition?
Focus on the adjective.
Because that's the more like important one.
Okay. So is a person eleemosynary?
But yes, possibly.
Does it just mean like generous or like
almost there?
Like caregiving? Boy, this is torture.
Yes, in a more broad sense, yes. You're like right there.
I don't understand what I can say that's right there that I haven't yet said.
Somebody who is caregiving is giving care to whom? Possibly.
Oh, somebody who needs care?
Yeah, and so doing that is like what? I'm really giving it to you here, Emily.
What? I don't think you are.
Doing that is an act of
a charity.
Yeah, so that makes this word
charitable.
Yeah, you got it, Emily. Completely naturally all yours.
Jeez Louise.
Yes, Emily. So eleemosynary can mean a bunch of different things, but its main meaning is relating to charity, alms or almsgiving, as in charitable, or established for the distribution of alms. It can also mean, as an adjective, something that is given or done as an act of charity is eleemosynary, or having the nature of alms, so like gifts are eleemosynary.
Sure.
And something or someone that is dependent on or supported by charity is eleemosynary.
So it can be either end of the equation.
Exactly, Emily, exactly. Oh boy. All right, we got a lot to talk about here. Are you ready to dive into this?
I hope I'm ready now.
Okay. It's going to be a lot, so get your thinking cap on.
I got it screwed on.
So eleemosynary comes from the medieval Latin word Eleemosynarius, which was a term for an alms dispenser. And that comes from the late Latin Eleemosina, which means alms, almshouse, or pity or mercy. And that word comes from the ancient Greek Eleemosine, which means alms, charity, or pity or mercy. That comes from Eleemon, which means merciful, which comes from Eleea, which means I have pity on, I take pity on, or I show mercy to, from Eleos, which means pity, mercy, compassion, or an object of pity. It took a million steps to get to where it was, but like the synary part of eleemosynary is, it looks like it's going to be a suffix, and it's not. It's just like they constantly changed the ending to mean different things and left it the way it was.
So it is like a wholesale word that has had many different meanings.
They've just kind of changed the tense of it a million times.
Crazy.
So that last word, eleos, is possibly related to the ancient Greek word eleleo, which was an onomatopoeic word meaning a cry of pain or lament. Woe, alas.
That's also what I say, like if I'm sitting in the coffee shop and then Kyle walks in, I'm like, hello.
Hello. It also happens to be your cry of pain.
Yes, it is a lament, but for different reasons.
Well, Emily, it's possible that eleleo, in turn, is related to the ancient Greek words for a war cry, eleleo, alala, and alale.
It's crazy how many L's are going on here.
Yeah. So, as you could tell in the ancient Greek, I think the two E's were pronounced separately. It was Eleemosina.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
At some point, the English word was pronounced Eleemosynary, but it's just so hard to pronounce it that way that it slowly went out of context. And there was a separate mark on the second E to show that it was pronounceable, that you should pronounce it separately.
Right.
But it no longer has that, so we don't have to worry about it, and it's one syllable less. Thank the Lord.
Thank goodness.
So, Emily, eleemosynary, as much as we had that war cry there, is the opposite of war. It's about charity, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was yanked from Latin in the 1600s and was used to talk about charitable endeavors of all stripes. The Merriam-Webster, on their website, they state, without attribution, but they state that a grammarian once said of eleemosynary, a long and learned word like this should only be used under the stress of great need. Which is fun, because it's like, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of other words that we could use, you know?
There are shorter ones, yeah.
Yeah. Naturally, eleemosynary is used a lot in religious texts, emphasizing acts of charity, which were a duty of the loyal Christians who wished to be in God's good places, right?
Sure.
God's good graces, sorry.
In
His
Providence.
good places to heaven. Yeah, in Providence. The church warden character, Mr. Root, in Edward Howard's 1836 maritime novel, Rattlin' the Reefer, he embodies this message of being in God's good graces when he says to his students, "It is our duty as Christians to give eleemosynary aid to the poor. Let all classes but the first or second look out the word eleemosynary. I say to the poor, eleemosynary aid should be given."
Boy, that was like a sermon and a vocab quiz in one.
Yeah. Well, literally, he's like talking to a class of students. So he says this and then realizes they don't know what eleemosynary means. So he tells them to look it up. And then goes on. Yeah. Just hilarious. So he says that eleemosynary aid should be given, but something doesn't have to be actively given for it to be eleemosynary. An example of this is Lawrence Stern's 18th century picaresque novel, The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman.
Tristram?
Tristram Shandy, Gentleman.
Boy, that is a picaroon if I've ever heard of one.
Right? Tristram Shandy.
That's like a picaroon in a really white college improv troupe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like in Utah.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Tristram.
You're gonna hate me. But this is all about me now.
But I think I'm hilarious, so enjoy watching this audition.
So in Tristram Shandy, the eponymous character is stopped at a gate. And he says, he's the narrator of the book, and he says, "'Twas by a poor ass who had just turned in with a couple of large panniers upon his back to collect eleemosynary turnip tops and cabbage leaves."
Wow.
So it was just this donkey who's blocking
collecting
this
charity.
gate. Collecting charity, which is just the grass on the ground. And in this context, right, the scraps are eleemosynary because they're providing the aid towards the donkey, which is in need.
Oh, I see. Got you.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So he's not like collecting alms on behalf of others. He's just taking what he needs.
Exactly.
Now I'm calling.
For what it's worth, Emily, following this statement, Tristram then takes pains to explain to the reader that he couldn't leave. He couldn't go through the gate because he would never strike an ass because he pities them.
Well, I guess that's an eleemosynary act in itself.
Right?
You know?
Right? Well, it gets even better because he says, instead of waiting for the ass to move, he has a full-blown conversation with this donkey, Emily.
Hilarious. He did a full improv scene with that donkey.
He basically did. He pities this donkey so much, Emily, that he gives it a macaroon that he had just purchased.
Hilarious.
Yeah. And he admits, as in describing this, he says that there was more of a pleasantry in the conceit of seeing how an ass would eat a macaroon than of benevolence in giving him one. Basically, like, I'm not that nice. I kind of just want to see, like, what it would be like to feed him one.
So funny.
Yeah. And this whole ordeal ends, Emily, when, like, he's doing all this stuff and he's like, all right, I think the donkey, like, I think we're friends. I think he's going to move on. And then immediately as this happens, someone comes up and, like, strikes the donkey in the ass really hard and, like, making it run off. And he's like, oh.
So funny.
As a side note, Emily.
Yeah.
You were like, Tristram, what a crazy name, right?
It is a crazy name.
Do you want to know why his name is Tristram?
Oh, no. There's an answer?
There's an answer.
I mean, I definitely want to know.
So I guess at some point, I haven't read the whole book, right? At some point, he meets with his father and has this conversation about his name.
Oh.
And his father explains that he intended to give him the auspicious name Trismegistus.
I knew you were going to say it.
How did you know?
Because you were building up to it, and I realized that Tristram is close enough.
Yeah, so basically he's like, what a bet, like, I want my son to, like, be able to see the future. Like, I want him to know his own future.
For the alchemy guy.
Yeah. So the son is born, and the father's talking to the chambermaid, and he's like, you're going to call him Trismegistus. And the chambermaid's like, okay. And he's like, you can remember that, right? Like, the minister's just down the hall. You can remember that name, by the time you get to the minister, right? And she's like, yeah, of course. And then she runs down the hall, like saying the name to herself, and then gets to the minister, and the minister's like, all right, what are you going to name him? And she's like, Triz something. And the minister's like, Triz what? And she's like, I don't know.
So funny.
And the minister's like, well, the only Triz name I can think of is Tristram, because that's my name. And she's like,
Hilarious.
That's it then, must be it.
Hilarious.
And that's how he gets his name. As you may have noticed, right, when I was describing the word earlier, eleemosynary is closely linked with the term alms. ALMS.
Yes, I did notice you said that a lot.
Do you know what those are?
I mean, I think it is often used to mean specifically like money collected for the poor, but I guess maybe it could mean just anything like collected and given to the poor.
Yeah, exactly. I think it does more often mean money, but I think in a figurative sense, it can mean, any sort of charitable donation.
Yeah.
But you're spot on. I honestly kind of had the idea that was the case, but I was not sure of it. So I had to look into it. But interestingly enough, Emily, get ready for this. Alms also comes from the late Latin word Eleemosina.
Oh, that makes sense. All the letters, all the sounds are there.
Right? They're all there. But unlike Eleemosynary, which was retroactively plucked from obscurity, alms naturally evolved into the word it is today from Eleemosina.
Sure. That would make them doublets.
They're doublets. Look at that. Beautiful. Perfect.
Yes. Yeah.
So Eleemosina traveled the separate path for alms. It traveled through Vulgar Latin and Proto-West Germanic to come to Old English as the much easier to pronounce almessa.
Oh.
And yeah.
No, yeah.
It sounded like almessa.
Cut all of those noises.
Almessa? Yeah, he's we're besties.
No, I'm just being engaged, Kyle. I'm being engaged by the information that you're giving me.
I love it. Almessa then was attested in various spellings since prior to the 13th century and through Middle English until the much shorter alms caught on somewhere during the 1600s. Interestingly enough, it was around when we see Eleemosynary pop up. So they kind of show up as doublets at the same time.
Sure. They met up on the other side of the mountain.
Yeah. Through alms, we get a number of words that are synonyms for Eleemosynary. And this is where the noun part comes in that I kind of hid at the beginning.
Oh, yes.
So an Eleemosynary can be a person who gives alms to the poor, especially generously. You might call that person an Eleemosynary.
Sure. That makes sense.
They can also be called an almoner or an almsgiver.
Sure, almsgiver I've heard, but almoner, that sounds like a guy who grows almonds.
Almonds. You know what? That's funny that you said that because I literally had to look up if it was related to almonds.
It's so funny.
It is not. Yeah, almsgiver, I mean, it makes me think, we should have an almsgiving holiday. I mean, it sounds like Thanksgiving is what I think of.
Sure. I mean, we should give alms on Thanksgiving.
Nah. That's like a bridge. That's just like Christmas a month early,
So funny.
We should just call Christmas almsgiving so that all holidays have a giving end. What would we call 4th of July?
Fireworks giving.
Fireworks giving.
St. Patrick's Day is parades giving.
Yeah. Parades giving.
Yeah.
Some other definitions, Emily. Eleemosynary can also mean one who survives on alms, as in a beggar can be an Eleemosynary.
Sure. Again, like both ends of the transaction.
Exactly. In this sense, you might call that person an almsman, collectively almsfolk.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a lovely
fun?
name.
And lastly, an Eleemosynary can also mean a place where alms are distributed, or an
That's
office
what I said.
responsible for the distribution of alms. It's exactly what you said, which is why I was tempted to give it to you.
I say you should have.
Listen, my producer was giving me the red light, so it's all his fault.
Yeah, that does make sense. It is all his fault.
In this sense, an Eleemosynary can also be called an almonry or an almshouse?
I mean, an almondry definitely sounds like where almonds are grown.
Yeah. It's where they're eaten.
Or where they're turned into wine.
Like a wine substitute? Like almond milk to milk? Almond wine?
Yeah, no, it's where they make almond milk. An almondry is where they turn almonds into almond milk.
It's where they milk them.
No, you know how they make almond milk, Kyle? You could literally make almond milk by sticking almonds in a blender with water.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
It really is insane.
It feels like it should be a more complicated process than that, but no.
Well, and then it makes you think, wow, almond milk is so much cheaper than almonds.
Yeah.
I guess because of the water.
Sure, it's less almonds in the carton.
Huh. Emily,
should we all start making our own almond milk?
Almonds now, yeah. Okay, Emily, this is the last part of the episode. You ready?
Bring us home.
So, charitable organizations, through the term Eleemosynary institutions and similar variants, make up the bulk of Eleemosynary's usage in the past few centuries. Okay?
That makes sense.
So the term Eleemosynary institution is like a widely used term, or Eleemosynary organization, or corporation, or Eleemosynary body, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Almshouses are one of the earliest forms of Eleemosynary institutions. Do you know what an almshouse is?
I assume it's one of the things you just told me. Either a place where it's a place where alms are distributed.
No, that's almondries were more so places where the alms are distributed. Almshouses were basically places where, alms would be distributed, but it was more so giving people a place to stay. Usually the poor and the elderly who needed to be taken care of, you know? So they needed to be provided things, so they would also live there.
Like a shelter.
Like a shelter, exactly. And almshouses are recorded as far back as 10th century England. We see them.
Wow. That's a nicer word. I feel like I've read old-timey works that use the word poorhouse. But almshouse sounds a little nicer, you know?
That's interesting. I would have to look into that. The Wikipedia page for almshouses also talks about workhouses, insinuating that they might be synonymous except for the work part. Like workhouses are
but
like you
I
work
feel
and
like
live
a
there.
poorhouse is just where you go to stay. That's what I thought.
It's where you go to become poor.
If you feel like you've got it too good.
Yeah. Almshouses, Emily, were usually set up by wealthy benefactors. And the Eleemosynary who ran the establishment was called a beadsman, B-E-D-E-S-man.
B-E-D-E-S.
Yeah, from the Middle English bead, meaning prayer.
Huh.
And these beadsmen were responsible for praying for the health of those who contributed monetarily to the almshouse.
But not praying for the people that needed the alms.
Literally not. Literally not.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
The corruption is in his job description.
I guess there were like other people around who did that, but he did not do that.
Yeah.
So donors would have their names carved on small items, which were then strung up on what were called bead rolls and carried by the beadsman as he prayed, so that he knew which person he was praying for and he wouldn't skip anybody.
Yeah, that's like prayer beads.
Like prayer beads. Not like prayer beads, Emily. Exactly prayer beads.
Is that the origin?
Because each individual item was called a bead, because each individual item was a prayer for a person. And as time went on, these beads were replaced with small globes of bone or wood, which is why we call beads on a string beads. They're little prayers.
My goodness.
Yeah.
But just any bead, like normal beads, that comes from that guy?
Yeah, I think so. Like prayer beads were being used prior to that.
They maybe didn't have that name.
Right, exactly. I think prayer beads come from like before rosaries and stuff like that. I don't know. I'd have to look into it more. But
because that's also
connected.
An Asian thing that goes way, way, way back.
Right, but I doubt they called them beads.
Sure, not the English word, no.
Right, yeah. This fun quote, Emily, from Horace Guilford's The Water Tower, uses beadsmen as an allegory for the character's ills. It's a romance novel, and it's pretty heavy what's going on here. This is what I was looking at today. I was like, what the heck is going on? I don't know, but it's a fun quote, so.
Okay.
If I do not use to the utmost the weapons fortune hath put into mine hand, may I still, good brother, be the butt of thy supercilious rebukes, the beadsman of thine Eleemosynary contempt.
Wow. I don't know if I could tell what the heck was going on there, but it was fun.
It's fun. Basically, he's saying, like, you are always, like, think you're better than me and, like, saying mean things to me. So I am acting as the beadsman of your of the contempt of your charity. So, like, you're giving me this charity of contempt.
Right.
And
like
I have to count all of the ways that you're being contemptible to me.
Right.
During the Middle Ages, many hospitals also functioned as almshouses, just by nature of, having to provide aid for people.
Yeah.
And today there are around 2,600 still functioning almshouses in the United Kingdom.
Wow, that is a lot.
Almshouses also came to America in 1622, but their history is fraught with abuse of individuals with mental illness.
Okay.
And it would take a whole nother episode for me to explain the atrocities that were committed and the institutional reform that eventually took place. So we're not going to talk about that today. Just know that it happened.
But yes, important to acknowledge,
yes,
but
absolutely.
Not as relevant, perhaps, to Eleemosynary.
Exactly. Regardless, the terms Eleemosynary institution or Eleemosynary corporation are still used today in some legal texts to refer to charitable organizations funded by a benefactor or trust.
So that's where you'll see the word used.
Yes, exactly, in a lot of legal texts.
Gotcha.
And that's Eleemosynary, Emily.
Wow. I mean, great word. It's good every once in a while to get a word that sort of smartens up our podcast,
Yeah. Makes us sound just a little bit hoity-toity,
Yeah.
So now we can go around and be charitable just to say, look how Eleemosynary I was.
That's right.
I cleaned your toilet.
And wait in anticipation for the person to ask what it means.
Well, Emily, it's the question we've all been waiting for.
Oh, okay.
Can you use Eleemosynary in a sentence?
I'm gonna have to if we plan to go around doing it. So, let's see. Eleemosynary in a sentence. Today at the coffee shop, I did not want to stand on a long line, so I sat and Eleemosynarily let everyone go ahead of me.
Perfect. Beautiful. Exactly how you would change that. Emily, would you like to play a game?
I would love to play a game, Kyle, I promise.
Awesome. Good. Okay, Emily, your game is called Almonry Almanac. And this game is simple. I'm going to name a charity, and you're going to tell me if you've ever donated to it.
Oh, no.
No, I'm just kidding.
Thank God.
What an awful
really
game that would
prove how un-Eleemosynary I am.
Yeah. No, I am, though, going to give you the name of a charity, and you're going to have to tell me if it is a real charity or a scam charity from some sort of fictional media.
Oh, okay. This is good.
So your first charity is the Krakatoa Relief Fund.
So I think, boy, this is, you're just outing me left and right, but I think Krakatoa is a real volcano, so I'm going to say that this is a real charity.
You are correct in that Krakatoa is a real volcano. You
but
are incorrect that this is a real charity.
Oh, no.
Emily, the Krakatoa Relief Fund is from Seinfeld.
Oh.
In the episode The Truth, Jerry is audited for donating to this fake charity, which Kramer convinced him was real. And basically, he was like, well, it's money going to the people who were affected by the Krakatoa volcano, right? And it was like, no, it's actually a charity that's going to help the volcano.
Classic Seinfeld humor.
Okay, ready for your next one, Emily?
Yes, this one I'm going to get.
This one's called Be a Deer and Donate a Brazier.
Oh my God. I hope it's a real charity because that's hilarious. So I'm going to say yes.
Emily, all of your wishes and dreams have come true. This is a real charity.
That's a great charity.
It's a great charity. It is run by the San Jose Women's Club, which is one of the oldest women's organizations in California.
Wow.
And the charity collects new and gently used women's undergarments to donate to local shelters, having donated over 50,000 bras in the charity's existence.
Amazing.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful?
That's very wonderful.
Your next one is the Chicago All Saints Hospital.
I mean, I feel like it's very likely that this is like the hospital in Chicago Med or something. Is that what
possible.
It's called? I'm gonna say that this is a fake like TV hospital or something.
Emily, you are correct. It is a fake hospital. It's not from Chicago Med, but instead it's from 30 Rock.
Oh.
So on the show, Jack, which is Alec Baldwin's character, his brother makes up this hospital, Chicago All Saints Hospital, and tells people to just write the initials of the hospital on the donation checks. Because the initials spell out C-A-S-H, cash. And he's just taking the money. Yeah.
And he could just cash it.
Yeah. This next one is colonics for kids.
Can you spell colonics?
Kolonics. Colonics for kids.
That didn't help as much as I was hoping. Well, I don't know what it means, but I'm going to bank on my ignorance of real things and say that this is real.
Emily, that's exactly what I was banking on when I chose this as one of the answers. It is fake.
Dang.
Colonics, I believe, has something to do with like gut cleanses.
Oh.
Colonics for kids is from Impractical Jokers, Emily.
Oh,
So
no.
on Impractical Jokers, they come up with fake charities and try and convince people to donate to them, like as a part of the practical jokes, right? Some of the other charities that they've come up with include Get That Kid Out of That Well, Surprise Funeral, and one called Fake Charity, which, funny enough, someone actually donated to.
Insane.
Okay, Emily, you've got one last charity. Are you ready for this one?
Last chance to prove myself.
This one's called Clowns Without Borders.
Oh, I mean, this has got to be real because this is like a thing. This is a thing. And listen, I don't want to disrespect the clowning community because it is a noble artistic profession.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
But I think some people have an overestimated sense of its importance. But maybe that's me. I don't know. But I think this is real.
Wow, Emily, you are really taking it to task on the clown community. But at the least, you are correct. Clowns Without Borders is a real charity. It was founded in 1993, and it's a humanitarian organization of clowns that performs for free for children affected in war-torn areas around the world. It was originally a Spanish organization. They've since globalized.
Yeah. I mean, performing and making kids laugh is a good thing. I just think there are ways to do it without involving clown makeup, but maybe that's a personal thing with me.
I believe it was started by clowns who wanted to make the world a better place. It wasn't like, let's make people laugh. How do we do it?
No,
it was the clowns came first in this instance.
Yeah, I understand.
Clowns Without Borders, last year, they performed 153 shows in 10 different countries, bringing joy to nearly 30,000 individuals affected by war in the world. So really a wonderful organization. So if anybody's thinking of places to donate this Christmas, this almsgiving, consider Clowns Without Borders or Be a Deer, Donate a Brazier.
Yes, both lovely.
Yeah, both lovely.
Hey, everybody, you can find Butter No Parsnips on social media, on Facebook and on Instagram at Butter No Parsnips Podcast, and on TikTok at Butter No Parsnips. And if you like today's episode, you can consider giving us a 5-star rating or review wherever you heard us.
And if you really like today's episode, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/butternoparsnips. Donating $5 or more earns you a shout out either on social media or here on the podcast. And so thanks to Heather B,
Monica of Top Music,
Lori M,
Pensive Primate,
Day D,
Rob R,
Jessica M,
Randall H,
Fran I,
and Stephen I.
Thanks so much to all of you. You help us make what we make.
And with that, I've been Emily Moyers.
And I've been Kyle Imperatore, and this has been Butter No Parsnip.